Hey guys, Tom Fernandez here coming to you live from Chicago. And today I got a question for you. Are you in network marketing, multi-level marketing, and maybe you have a significant other who's not supportive in business at all? Hey guys, before we get started with your training, I have a free offer for you guys. It's my free ebook. It's your profile profits cheat sheet. It's 5 prime real estate areas on your Facebook profile that if you change, you can turn your Facebook profile into a lead magnet machine. All you got to do is go into the description area below, click on the link, put in your name and email, and I'll send it right over. And it's very common, by the way. We have people who join these companies, and what ends up happening is they have resistance at home. And I always like to tell people that your last appointment of the day is your significant other, because when you lay down at night, you're going to have that discussion. And when you have resistance at home, it makes the business that much more harder. You have every day you're trying to maintain positivity, maintain activity, but then you have somebody who you live with who's just constantly like, man, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Do something else. And it can be nearly impossible. I've seen many dreams who have been killed because of significant others. And usually the chain of command is your significant other can kill you out of business, your parents can kill you out of business, or a roommate, somebody you live with. So here's a few steps on what you can do. You can never change somebody's mind, but what you can do is you can set yourself up to give to give yourself the best chance to convert that person's mindset into at least supporting you, not necessarily joining you in business, but we have seen that too. So number one, when you're thinking about getting into business, the first thing you want to do is you want to have them educating on what you're doing properly. A lot of times we see excited significant others go home and they're like, man, I'm starting this business, and what happens is they're brand new. They don't even know how to express it. So it sounds weird. It sounds suspicious. So they are immediately, met with resistance from their spouse. Like, wait, what are you doing? Wait, what did you invest in? Wait, what did you do here? So their significant other is just, they're already alarmed by what they're doing. So what ends up happening is if they would have learned the proper way. So, imagine this, you want to go buy a new TV or something big, a big purchase. And then, you come to your significant other and you try to explain all the specs, but you're not an expert at TVs. So I would bring them to the store and say, hey, talk to this gentleman here. He knows all the details. The same in business. Bring them to an expert so they can explain. The second thing is don't expect anything out of them. Once you start making expectations, you got to realize a lot of times they don't see the vision that you saw. So, when you start expecting stuff, that's when you're met with resistance. Well, you should do this and you should do that. If they see the vision themselves, let them. But if not, you can't force them. And then the third thing, and this is the main one, if you have an unsupportive spouse in business, is you got to start making money. You got to start producing results, right? Nothing will get them to turn their head like a paycheck. So even though you're met with resistance right now, what you have to do is you have to go out there on the grind, work double hard, and you got to bring home what we call that belief check. That belief check is a check that you get to say, hey, this is what I made this week. And what ends up happening is your significant other is going to start looking at you and they're going to start, turning their neck like, wait, you made how much? And they start looking at the possibilities of what that check can bring to the household. Man, that's this bill's, that's that bill taken care of. And then they start looking at it in the amount of hours that they've worked. And they start saying, man, you made this week? You made $2,000 this week. That takes me like 2 weeks to make. Okay. So you start to win them over because you're winning in business. But, a lot of times we see the opposite. Is people who are, winging their business, who they're looking for excuses and they're saying, oh, the reason I'm not winning is because my significant other doesn't support me. But the truth is if you're not operating your business in excellence, you're winging your business, you're barely making phone calls, barely prospecting, barely going out there doing what you need to do, well, then who's going to want to join that nightmare? Nobody's going to want to join that nightmare of a business. Nobody's going to want to follow you. So your significant other is looking at you, and what ends up happening is they're saying, man, you're on all these conference calls, you're going to all these events, you're on every freaking, webinar, but you're not making any money? Man, I don't want no part of that. Like, I don't want to touch that because you're selling them a nightmare. So the number one advice for you network marketers out there on how to win your spouse over in business is to start making money. You don't need their support to make money. Now, the long term, to be in their, in the industry, long term, and to build something big, eventually you're going to have to win them over in some type of way. But how you start is little belief checks. It doesn't have to be, $1 million. It can be a small $500 check. It can be a small $750 check. They say, hey, look, I just made this last week. And what ends up happening is you're going to start to get their buy-in. So not only do you win the belief checks, but start running for contests. Every company has their contest or incentive programs. Once you qualify for those, a free trip, there's no significant other or spouse out there that doesn't like a free trip. You win something for free, either be an iPad, an iPhone or something. They start to look and say, okay, this is starting to produce, some return on our investment. This is starting to produce some return on your investment of time and money. So, for you guys out there who have an unsupportive spouse, take those measures in order for you to, to get closer to gaining their support. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to, all of you out there are not going to be able to convince, but at least at the bare minimum, when you start making money, what you can do is at least get them to the point where they'll cheer you on from afar. They'll say, man, it's not for me, but I'm cheering you on. And then what ends up happening from that point, your moral, your morality will go up, and you're like, man, I feel excited. You're excited because you converted them from being a hater, or not necessarily a hater, but a skeptical person, into somebody who just said, hey, I hope you do well. So I wanted to share, by the way, if you're in network marketing, a home-based business, and you have a team and you have couples who have this problem, tag them below. Tag that person below, because I've seen a lot of people killed out of business because their significant other, their spouse, their husband, their wife doesn't support them. But there's a better way to expose them to what you're doing without being forceful, with exposing them with the right information, but also showing them that you're winning in business and you're not selling them a nightmare. So I hope that was helpful. If it was, feel free to like, share, comment. By the way, if you like network marketing tips like this, I have a group called Social Lead Hub. It's for network marketers, for those of you who are trying to learn how to finally cash flow in business, finally make your first check, finally make your first $1,000, weekly in business. Go ahead and comment below and I'll add you to that group. I'll see you guys out there on the field.